Hi everyone, it's K-Red, and welcome to today's peaceful pattern. Each week we learn a new pattern so we can continue to learn more about doodling and zentangling, where I personally find a lot of joy. This week is Tada. It's a great pattern, super easy. I love the way it's spelled out, and as always, the variations are endless. So I think you'll be surprised at how easy this one is. So let's get right started. So for this pattern, I think what I'd like to do is maybe have 3 boxes. So let's start by giving myself the boxes. I'm not going to worry about being exact. Just let them be somewhat close. And so we're going to have 1, 2, and 3. So for the first step, we are going to do an X across it. We're going to go ahead and start with this X, and then on to each X, and it doesn't have to be exact. I am going to give myself a fun little extension. Now, if you would rather just make another X, you can. To me, I like to be able to have a little bit of control, and we're going to put circles inside of these. Spoiler alert. So I want them to give me a little bit more room. So this one up here is probably a little more ideal than that one down there, but this will give us both versions. So let's go ahead, and that's all step 1 is to do the X and to give us these little, well, to give us this kind of decorative X. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go ahead, and like I said, I'm going to give myself just a little bit of a bigger, kind of like it where it starts big and goes thin, but it certainly doesn't have to. You can do whatever kind of variations you would like. And that's step 1. So now for step 2, we're going to switch to that red pen. So all we're doing is drawing some circles that fit inside these little paths that we've made. I like them to be kind of close and touching, but as always, it can be however you would like it to look. Really appreciate you all joining me. We have some new people here, so I figured I'd take a moment and let you know who I am. Like I said, my name is K-Red, and each week since January of 2025, we together have learned a new tangle. We've been creating these little tiles so we can reach back into them as we do our doodling. I have a stressful job, and I found very early on that I needed a way to relax and unwind, and for me, that way is doodling. So what do you think? That's it. That's how that looks. Now we can go back in and we can fill in these little areas here. I'll do one just so you can see what it looks like. It's always a nice way to clean it up. Probably not going to do that on my card, but depending on how you wanted your pattern to look, I think that is a great, we'll do it on 2. I think that's just a great way. Just make sure when you're doing this, you take your time. You try to move slower than I am, because this is one way that you can really end up with a very little circle, because you have to keep correcting it as you move on. So that's it. That's steps 1 and 2. We only have one more step to do. So let's go ahead and get that into step 3 right here. We're going to start with our X. However you want it to look, you're going to add your spot where you're going to put your circle in. And as you saw, I like it to have kind of an arc to it. I think that looks nice. And then once you have that, you're going to go back in and we're going to do some circles that just fill that space. However many fit in the space. This is a pattern that is really nice with color as well. You saw that from the sample when I did the red. But this could be a neat one to do different colors on, different colored circles, different patterns. Doesn't have to be circles inside. You can put whatever pattern inside you would like. we're going to stick pretty close to what Margaret McCarrion did on tanglepatterns.com. And then we'll, as I doodle throughout the week, use this to unwind. I can make any changes I want. So then the next thing we're going to do is really great fun. And I do one section at a time. And I'm just going to aura this line right here. So we're going to go and we're going to do an aura on this line. And then I'm going to attempt to do an aura on this one that is the same width. Now, if you know me, you know I can struggle at that. As they get closer together, they're going to meet in and you'll get a little natural shading, shadow right there at the base of it. So let's do this one. I'll probably in post-production fast forward through some of these so you don't have to just sit and watch me do the same line over and over. But this is how we get the benefits from doodling. This is what helps me unwind at the end of the day. This is what helps me pass time if I'm struggling or having some intrusive thoughts or having some physical pain. The slower these do these, the better they'll turn out and the more calm you will find. And then ta-da! Just like that, we have created this super cute design that would look great on the inside of a mandala, that would look great on a corner of a larger doodle page, or to make a square of like 6 or 9 of these, each with different colors. I think that would be gorgeous as well, because I really do like this with different colors. Having said that, because this is my peaceful pattern cards, and my goal for these is to help me in the future really be able to do some nice doodles, to understand and remember what their names are. I do struggle with remembering the names, all of that. So I think for this card, I'll stick to just one color. So let's go ahead and let's see if we can get just a nice, decent square to work off of. If you know me, you know I talk about how I can be hypercritical on these cards and on myself. Part of it is me. Part of it is because it's on YouTube and other people can see it. Nobody wants to look like they are not good at something, especially when you're bold enough to share it. But the truth is, I am not an artist. I am not artistic by nature. Like I said, I'm just someone who's discovered that stress is difficult for me. And one of the ways I deal with it is by drawing these lines. So let's do that here. Gave myself my little box. And let's see where we can go with it. Step 1, making the X. This time for this one, I'm going to give myself a little bit of an arc to my X rather than a straight line. Just what I feel like. And then we're going to go back and do some decent size circles. I always like when we have lines that converge together or lines that come together to put a little bit of a dot. Just my personal preference to have that solid there. So now we've done 1. Let's go ahead and move on to 2. And like I said, I'm probably going to fast forward through this so that you don't have to watch me do lines over and over again. And I'm going to work on my breathing in and breathing out with the drawings, really controlling my mind, controlling my anxiety, controlling my pain levels, thinking about those that I love. Okay, that is Step 2. Now for step 3, it's all about the aura. So once again, I'm going to control my breathing. I'm going to do my very best to move my arm, not my wrist. On lines that as they get shorter, if I can move just my fingers, that's great. But I'm going to try to keep my lines as smooth as possible. And the best way for me to do that is to move my arm and my fingers, but not my wrist. You'll have to practice it and try it and see what works for you. I also like it when I come down here to the end. I don't mind the lines keep going because I enjoy that little natural shading that happens from the lines going on top of each other. Also notice that what I will do is I will turn my card so that for me I'm drawing from the top down. That is what is most natural for me, but it is very important that you do what is most natural for you. Turn the card however you need to. Start at the bottom, start at the top. Whatever is comfortable for you. Okay, so if you notice, I went back, and if there's just a couple of lines that I think might be a little thick, I just add one more in the middle of it. No right, no wrong. It's always hard to know when to stop, but that's where I'm going to stop. So then there's shading. Now, shading's an interesting one on this one because we have so many options. It's hard to know what exactly to do. But I think the easiest one to start with is to play up the shading that naturally happens from the ink coming together from one line after another. So I'm going to add in on the side of my pencil. I think I have a 4B again. Yep, it's a 4B. It tends to be one of my favorite shading ones. And we're just going to add in a pretty heavy, thick line. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to pull it all out. Along those curves, just to help accentuate that illusion of it all coming in on itself. Again, turn the card however works for you. Then we'll do that. So then the circles, it's another one that's kind of interesting on what you can do to shade it or to not shade it. I think what I'd like to do is I have a pretty decent amount of graphite on my blending stick. I think I just want to put a light shade on the top. And the shade I'm putting it is at the top left, which I guess would mean my light source is coming from the bottom right, but I'm not very good at that. It's just what I happen to pick on the first one. Just so they have a little bit of a shade on them. If they were colored, I'd put a little dot of white maybe on them. There we go. Ta-da! It's done. Sorry, I couldn't resist. With a name like that, you just have to. So, Margaret McKiernan, you have given us a great peaceful pattern this week, and I appreciate you so much. So, it is called, ta-da, and it is by Margaret. And then I'm always horrible with spelling, but it's M-C-K McKiernan. And of course, I found it on my favorite website to find doodles, tanglepatterns.com. There you go. Give it a try. Check it out. I'd be interested in how you play with these circles. What do you put inside of them? I think this would be an interesting, like I said, on a big piece of paper with either multiple squares or even just one big square, and each of these being a little mini mandala. That would be gorgeous. So let me know what you think. Let me know how it turns out for you. Are you going to give this one a try? Let's go ahead and add our hole punch. Probably should have added it first on this one. Let's see what we cover up. Oh, not too bad. That's doable. We're going to add it to our patterns, and we have so many designs that I am just amazed. So check back with me next week. Please like and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and it does amazing things for the algorithm. Leave me a message. Let me know how you're doing. I hope it's well. You all stay safe. I'll see you next week.